From Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world, I'm David Gavri, and this is the Vegas Faces podcast, where we talk with Las Vegas locals about what it's really like to live in the City of Lights. Whether you're living in Vegas, moving to Vegas, or just visiting Vegas and looking for new adventures, together let's discover the hidden gems that make Sin City the most visited place on earth. Hey everybody, welcome to the Vegas Faces podcast, where we explore the everyday side of Vegas and what it's like to live in the entertainment capital. I'm David Gavri. I'm a Las Vegas realtor with Realty One Group Summerlin. Shout out to producer Paul behind the scenes, making us all look good. This week's topic is, do you actually need a realtor? With us today is my good friend Rob Howe. He's been in real estate for over 15 years, and he was born and raised right here in Las Vegas. We're here to dig deep on why you may or may not need a realtor. Rob's here to share his wisdom. Let's get into it. Rob, welcome to Vegas Faces. Let's kick this off with, what do realtors even do besides open doors? Can you buy or sell a house by yourself? What are your thoughts? Let's go.
What's up, David? What do you do besides open doors? Well, the list is mighty long. You have to be a little, just uninformed if you really believe that realtors aren't doing more than opening doors. And can you do it on your own? I don't think that doing things on your own that are going to be very permanent, like the largest purchase that most people make in their life, in their lifetime, or purchases as you purchase property along the way, is a good idea to do alone. Even before I got into real estate, I knew that was probably not a good idea. I think I knew that I did not have the understanding to navigate those waters. And, houses are somewhat complicated in a way. 15 years in the business, right? So I look at it kind of simple, but it's from somebody, I try to take myself back to that stage of just, not really knowing. I guess you could compare it to maybe like a car and trying to figure out what's going on in the engine. Maybe you want a mechanic to take a look at that used car. And maybe you want a realtor to be along with you for all of the details that would be involved in a real estate transaction. You're not just talking about the contract. You're talking about the things that would be going on in the house. I mean, I'm just talking from the buyer side right now. And there are numerous things that an agent will do for you. They'll help you understand what the comparable sales are so that you can make an educated offer on that property. So you're not overspending on a property. I think a lot of people might be just throwing money at a property, not realizing that maybe that's not worth what they're paying. So there's a lot. And then on the seller side, my goodness, I could go on and on about why a seller's going unrepresented. That would be a little nuts to me.
A lot of it has to do with the better you are at whatever it is that you do in whatever industry that you work in. If you're good at your job, it looks easy to the outsider. You come from the music world, I come from the comedy world, and a good comedian, it looks easy. It looks so easy that people sit in the audience and they go, I could do that. Like, I could get up there right now and do that. You know what I mean? And so I think,
I just was going to say, like watching sports or something, like I could get caught. I could get caught watching baseball saying, I wouldn't have swung at that pitch.
Yeah, but you're sitting on the couch eating
Cheetos. I never hit a home run from the couch either. So
yeah, that's why the term Monday morning quarterback is a thing. I mean, people, they tend to think like, oh, this guy, all he does is open the door. But meanwhile, that's just tip of the iceberg. You don't see all the scheduling that goes behind the scenes. You don't see the routes that we planned when we show you 7 homes in one day or 10 homes in the same day. We have to make appointments. We can't just go inside of people's houses. People tend to think that, I'm just going to walk inside of an open house and that's how I'm going to buy the house. Not even knowing that, like, not every house on the market is an open house, like on a daily basis. Like, open house may be once a week, if that, maybe just one time. Like, not everyone does open houses all the time. So I think just my whole point being that the better you are, the more you conceal all the mess behind the scenes, where you just show up with a smile, hey, smooth sailing. They just think, all that guy did was just show up and open the door.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's something to be said for like people who maybe are newer to the business and could make it look terrible. Um, we're going to see less and less of that. Actually, who you're going to be working with as your real estate agent in this modern times, they're going to be sharper, they're going to be better, and it's going to be a higher level of service, I think. And I think it'll be even more obvious that we're dealing with somebody who is a professional that knows the areas. I mean, just coming to for me, you've moved from another state. I've never done that. I've lived here all my life, and that sounds incredibly daunting to me. And I even remember not that long ago when I was still in the business, how would you, other than finding an agent to show you around or
Hmm.
having a friend in the area, having friends that already were there, how would you know anything about this area that you're trying to move into? So I mean, like you're moving for a job, right? I got to go over to this place that I don't know anything about.
Right. What
Well,
neighborhood do
yeah, and so nowadays, especially with YouTube, and that's what I try to offer as much as I can, is here's what's out here in this town, and so you're finding out about neighborhoods, you're finding out about things that you can see from a distance before you even get your feet on the ground there. I think it's a big change. I think those types of agents are going to really rule the roost. Those agents that can be neighborhood experts and
you?
just really that's what you're looking at. And
And
then
you know,
I mean from a selling point of sorry, just say from a selling point of view for listing agents. I just got a listing in I really impressed that client because they knew that I understood their home and their area that they lived in. And so there was a connection there, especially me being born and raised here, but in particular this home. And I won't go into the details because that's kind of boring, but she really loved that.
I think part of why, and I'd love to get your perspective on this, why people think that what we do is easy is because I'm not going to lie, like it's not brain surgery, it's not rocket science, but it does take time. And I do think that much like any trade, whether you're trying to become an electrician or you want to be a contractor or even something outside of the housing, let's say like a financial advisor. Like a lot of people think that, oh, I could just manage my own money and buy stocks on my own. And sure, you totally can, but how much time do you have in a day? I mean, do you have the kind of time to wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, or however early these people wake up to monitor the stock market before the market opens, and to really study the trends and all that goes into the financial sector and learning about all the businesses and all the research before you buy their stocks. So the same for real estate. You could totally do this on your own, but do you have the time to really learn the ins and outs of this business? Do you have the time to make all the kinds of appointments? Do you have the kind of time to just the kind of time that it takes to develop this skill so that you can adequately do it on your own? So that if you do try to sell this house by a FISBO, a for sale by owner, like do you have the wherewithal to even get the word out enough to have the right type of buyer to come in and give you the price that you want? What are your thoughts?
First of all, for sale by owners are there's definitely enough numbers out there, research out there about what they actually net, and they definitely, on average, by a lot, net less than they would had they gone with a real estate agent. And partially because of what you're talking about, they're very limited in how much they can expose that property to the world of buyers, right? So an agent has access to the multiple listing service, and that goes out not just the multiple listing service, but to every one of those exterior third-party websites like Zillow and whatnot. So maybe you're thinking, I could sell my home for sale by owner on Zillow, and I don't know what Zillow would charge you to do that, but you're only using just Zillow. And while that's powerful, it's not powerful enough. It's not taking it and putting it out on every single site and the multiple listing service and having uh, agents licensed that are showing your property. I think that's really something that is, underrated big time here. Is that
And
having people that are in good standing with an association, that are the ones that are walking those buyers that they have pre-qualified through your home because they want to get paid. They want to earn a living, so they're not. They want to make sure they're bringing qualified people through your door. That's what we want to do. So if you try to do that on your own, and that's just the marketing side. I'm scratching the surface on the marketing side. So let alone the documentation and the liability that you might be setting yourself up if you don't have all those ducks in a row. Making sure you're dealing with somebody who's a legitimate buyer. I've heard the nightmare stories of what for sale by owners have gone through. And oh, by the way, I don't, something that has been actually itching my mind lately is, with the buyer's brokerage agreement, this is not, this isn't angling to make things better for people who are trying to for sale by owner. That's not at all what that's going to do. It's not going to make it better so that I can, if I wasn't licensed or whatever, if I was just Rob and I had a house and I wanted to sell it like a for sale by owner, it didn't just get better for me because of those changes. Um, it got better for tech companies that are going to try to, use that to their advantage so that you go to them. It got better for real estate tech companies, and that's the reality there. So if you think deeply into that, you go, oh, the actual consumer who wants to just sell their home on their own didn't get anything out of that.
There's a difference between, like, there's people out there who, if they don't have to pay it, they don't want to pay it. But then there's people that genuinely, they only have a certain budget, and they need to make a certain amount of money on the first house so that they can then go off and buy their next house or whatever it is they plan to do. So I think there's a definitely a large population of people who would be better off if they did not pay a realtor. And what do you say to people like that?
Okay, so you're talking about somebody who maybe doesn't have a lot of equity. They bought last year and they don't have a whole lot of equity. For somebody that's really stuck in that situation and they really can't afford to pay any costs, I mean, they may be relegated to just trying to get it done without an agent. I feel for them because I just don't think that's going to be. I think they're going to lose money. I think they're going to end up losing money. That's really what I think.
I just equate it to, like, hey, I can try to maybe do tile myself. Like, I maybe I can try to fix my car myself.
Yeah,
I'll probably make more of a mess and have to spend even more money to then hire someone to fix my mess and then fix what actually needed to be fixed. And
yeah,
so, like you said, like, if this is the most expensive asset in most people's lives, I always feel you get what you pay for in this life, regardless. If you want to skimp out and try to save money, great. If you have the wherewithal and the time to try to figure this stuff out, kudos to you. You should probably just get a license. Like, you should probably do this for other people too. And so,
yeah,
I don't know. To me, it's like even the simplest, like installing a light fixture. I could probably watch a few YouTube videos and learn that, but like I'll probably mess it up. Why even waste the time when I can just pay someone who actually does that every single day and can do it in their sleep? Like, I don't
yeah.
want to take it on something that small, let alone something as large as buying and selling a house. And so that's kind of how I look at it. Like, you get what you pay for.
The old phrase of penny smart, nickel foolish comes into mind. And I will just say this, like, I don't often see people in the luxury market trying to sell for sale by owner. And it's not just because they have the money or whatever. It's no, most of those people are very frugal and they have the money because they saved money and they know how to not spend too much money. So those people are not, you're not seeing for sale by owners up in Eagle Hills and Summerlin. But what they are very smart at understanding is that they can work the deal with their agents. They can work, so I guess there's a hint, folks. If you have a good asset that you can get sold and you have opportunity to interview agents and get the best one for the best, the best deal, maybe that's the route you want to take instead of trying to just say, hey, I wouldn't use an agent. I think it's out of the question in my mind, and that's probably because I'm super biased and in this business, but also because I'm in this business and super biased. So, if that makes any sense at all, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, I try to get into the mind of because I've met people that say like, oh, but how hard is it really? Like, I'm just gonna walk into the house, to the open house, which when they first, like, right when they say that, I'm like, oh, so you're just gonna find open houses, huh? What happens if it's a house you like and they don't have an open house? Then what? Like, then they're lost immediately, like right out the gate. But
Yeah,
the
and
plan
most
is
aren't. Yeah,
to walk in the open house, find the agent, which not every listing agent does their own open house. Sometimes they have other agents do the open house for them. People don't know that. So they think that they're just going to meet the agent who's part of the listing, which is also a long shot, even if there is an open house. And then they're just going to make a deal right then and there. Simple as that, Rob. How easy? I
yeah.
mean, why do I need you, Rob?
Well, I mean, it's not nothing's impossible. So you get myself or yourself, and you're gonna get the access to everything you can see out there, pretty much, right? So if you're doing it on your own, you have limited access, like you're pointing out. How many open houses are you actually seeing? And here's the dirty little secret about an open house. And maybe I shouldn't say this, but I do tell my clients this. I find open houses are more beneficial for the agent than they are for the seller. Okay, and that's because there are definitely there are definitely times when that's not the case, and I'll tell you about what I think that it's not the case. But for example, I could go do an open house on a property that I have, and where I'd put these signs would drag in all kinds of people from some busy streets, and it'd be a lot of looky-loos, and I would meet a lot of new potential clients. But they might not necessarily even be at all interested in the area. They just saw the open house sign and they just said, "Hey, let's go check out this house over here." Maybe somehow you get somebody that goes, "Wow, I didn't even know this house was here, or this area was this nice, or whatever," and you get lucky. But it's a bit of a longer shot, and you're probably more the exposure you're getting is a lot of looky loos. All right. Now, if you're in a neighborhood like maybe Red Rock, or something gated that's large, that people are constantly like in that neighborhood, they're looking to get other people to move in that neighborhood, and they're like, oh, hey, here's this open house. Let's tell Beth and Jerry about this open house that we saw, and maybe they'll come and check it out. Those are a little bit more beneficial for the seller, but uh, you see where I'm going. It's like I don't really see how people could open house shop and that's it. Like that's how they would buy their home.
Yeah.
You're still going to have an agent in there, and you're still going to have to go through some agent if it's the listing agent or their helper that's there doing the open house. And so now you've got some helper who's doing the open house. A lot of times they're a little green around the gills, and they actually have a slight loyalty to that agent that is gave them the opportunity to get you as a client. So they just want to make the deal, and they're not really thinking about you as well as you might like.
Also, this important piece too. Let me know what you think. Let's say they walk into the open house and everything is total green lights. They meet the agent, and this is the house they want. They're ready to buy it, and the agent's right there. Is that agent supposed to now work both sides? I want to get into the liability and the potential issues that come with working both sides of a transaction, because I know there's buyers out there who think that, oh, I'm going to get a good deal because now this agent is going to work my side and the seller's side. What could go wrong?
Yeah, you're not gonna like the agent now is cutting out commissions that now you can take out of the price, because they're working both sides of the deal. Well, the reality is that any agent worth their salt shouldn't be doing a dual agency without getting paid well for it, because there's a lot of liability involved, and some brokerages don't even allow it. Some agents won't do it, so they'll actually assign you somebody or refer you to somebody if we're gonna start drawing up a contract that will be your agent. Again, who is that somebody? Where's their loyalty? I just don't feel like that's a great way to interview or get an agent on your side. And also these days, no matter who you're talking to, if it's that listing agent or not, they're going to pull out the buyer's brokerage agreement and say, hey, we got to sign this. What do you think it's going to say? That you're just paying zero? I mean, even if you go, well, hey, I don't want to pay that, I mean, again, I don't. I wouldn't. I'm going to be like, listen, this is how we have to do this, and I'm working for you now, so I have to get paid somehow, you know. And if
Yeah, it's the world.
ideally, because I'm the listing agent, I already know what the seller's going to pay as far as a commission, and so maybe it works out. But if I already know that, hey, the seller's not paying me commission, and that's why I'm doing these open houses because I'm hoping somebody walks in and will pay me, out of their pocket the commission.
Working the both sides thing, it's double the work, double the liability. And what is the expectation for only half the compensation? I don't understand the thinking there. But again, I don't even think any of it's malicious. I think people just, hey, if they can find a deal, if they can save money, they'll do it. They don't even think about what goes on behind the scenes. Like they see what we do, tip of the iceberg. They see our social media posts and they just think, oh, that seems pretty simple. That's, how hard could that be? But I want to go into like ways that realtors provide value. So how about for somebody who has no idea like what they're even doing? They just started and they come to you for the first time. They've never bought a house. They're completely just don't even know what to do. What kind of Maya saying hi?
Hey,
uh, my question is, what kind of value do realtors provide to people that truly need us?
well, right out the bag is going to be like your financing and how you're going to set that up, and setting you up for success to be able to do what you're trying to do. So yeah, that's going to be where you're starting. Is okay. Let's see what lender do you want to use? Like if and for a first time home buyer right now, maybe there would be in some programs that you should look into depending on the first time home buyer. And so I would be able to funnel them through to the right people if they didn't already have a lender. Which again, I think if you're talking about somebody who's just coming in not knowing anything, they probably don't. A lot of times they don't. And so get them with the right people. Not and so you're a connector for that part of it, the financing, um, and then of course walking them through each step of the process and being able to make that really clear and easy to understand so that they're comfortable and not freaking out. I mean, I think it's a big deal. It's a lot of money. A lot of times, it's a big portion of what somebody might have as their savings is going into this. So you have to have that guidance there. Um, and then, of course, just walking the moment you walk into the door, the things that I'm looking for, I I think that people can easily be wowed, not just before they even step in the door, but they're looking at it online and falling in love before they even walk into it. And sometimes I have to be Mr. Reality and go, okay, that looks really good online, right? But let's walk in and see what it looks like, and then I'm going to point out where we might have, some things that you should consider. Without that guidance, that's a bad situation.
Yeah, and that's just one aspect. Like you mentioned previously about the person who is moving from another state, maybe even another country. I mean, Vegas, people come from all over the world to live here. And now what? Where do I go? What Summerlin, Henderson, Spring Valley, downtown, north, south? Like there's so many
Yeah.
different places. And in addition to everything that you just mentioned, you're probably driving them all over town just to show them Las Vegas. Like, yeah, I guess you could get a rental car and do that yourself, but or you can have someone who like has a purpose and isn't just driving around aimlessly. Is going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to show you what Inspirada looks like, but also I'm going to take you up to Sky Canyon, and then I'm going to go to
Yeah.
West Summerlin and South Summerlin, and oh hey, let's go to the complete opposite side of town. Let's go let's go to Southern Highlands and Anthem and it keeps going. Oh, let's take a road trip to Boulder City and Lake Las Vegas. I mean, and it's still not. We still haven't mentioned everything. So yeah, I guess
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
someone can do that on their own, but you have the like basically the key to the city. You have the access to not only show them neighborhoods, but let me show you some homes in each one of these neighborhoods and homes that fit your criteria and your price range and budget and this and that. And so I don't know. I guess it just goes back to how much time do you really have to devote to do this on your own versus getting the person that does this on a daily basis. But
Yeah.
One thing that I also kind of want to cover is like the contract part. People just think like, oh, you just sign right there. But like, Rob, how do you deal with contracts with clients? Do you just say, hey, sign this, or do you actually sit down and explain line by line?
Yeah, we're gonna go over the contract. I mean, if you're a first time, especially, uh, I think everybody has a threshold too, and that's something that experience will tell you when you're dealing with somebody who can handle a lot of the information, and when you're dealing with somebody who just really needs the cliff notes on things here, the important stuff that's really going to affect them. And when you look at our contracts, um, there are key points that I'm going to make sure that you're aware of, because those are the things that make a difference to you as the buyer, right? Those are the big. Sometimes it's contract jargon that needs to be in there to protect not only you but the other side, and even myself and everybody involved in the party. The terms that are really, really juicy and important, and the things that you're actually filling in there that are for your client, like obviously the price, obviously things like down payment and closing costs, and the loan program that they're using. That those all those things that are going to be there. Terms and time limits are important. I think as I'm working with somebody, I'm actually discussing the contract with them. They may not even realize it, but I'm going, hey, if we get into this, you're going to have this thing called the due diligence period, right? And I pretty much always say the same line, which is, no matter which way the wind blows, if you decide you want out of it within this time that we have set in that due diligence period, you can get out unscathed, right? Other than if you've already paid for an inspection or something like that. Um, so as you're going along, you're actually telling people about what they're signing, and ideally, this is where having a person helping you along the way doing this is so invaluable, in my opinion. Uh, because, yeah, I mean, if you didn't know, yeah, a lot of this would be very, very scary, I think.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, for me personally, I always want to be upfront and transparent. I never want anyone to feel like, oh, hey, he conveniently left that part out. Like I would rather spend hours together going through every single line if we have to, so that you, the client, understand it the best, because I don't want you leaving going, I don't even know what I just signed. At the end of the day, we're in the reputation business, and there's too many people out there that are just trying to get a quick buck and then skip town. But it's like, if we're here to stay, like, we have to build a reputation. And part of that
sure.
is letting people know every step of the way, hey, here's what to expect. And I don't
Yeah.
want any surprises. Like, they're like, any
Yeah.
surprises, that's not good in the long term. So I would rather, so that's another piece that people like, we don't post that on social media. I don't say, hey, spending hours reading the contracts today, like like, that's not
Yeah.
fun. Well, people like the views,
Well,
people like house tours, they
that
like the
is
fun.
that is the art. That is the art, though. And to me, that's the art, is to be able to communicate what needs to be communicated, but yet keep it fun, because it can be way too stressful if not. And I think that if you're people are generally excited, and that's why they miss things on houses. That's why they don't see stuff, because they're so excited, right? They just, especially first time home buyer, they've been. I remember when I bought my first home, I was bouncing all over the place. I just wanted to be somewhere where I could call home and not be kicked out by the landlord, or have to move or whatever, for whatever reason. And it was like, I just was super excited to have you're almost too tightly focused in a way on things. So that's why having that person outside of you that's seeing the things for you, trying to look out. And like you said, I always say this, you're saying the same thing. I say, we got to hunt down the trouble before we have it. That's what I'm looking to do, is to try to see around those corners. And it's not a perfect, it's not a perfect thing that you can do. You can't be perfect at this, because there are things in a transaction that will just happen sometimes. But the more that we can see them come in, the more that we can help people understand what's coming next and what the possibilities are, less likely that problems really happen.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much that goes on behind the scenes, uh, to where I would just so much rather put it in the hands of somebody else because of the amount of decisions that have to be made. I've done a full home remodel, and we made the mistake of not hiring a contractor, and the amount of
Mm,
decisions that had to be made, down to hey, how many inches apart do you want the soap dispenser from the faucet in your kitchen granite countertop, to where it makes your head explode. And it's like, yeah, I see why people pay the premium to hire a contractor to make those decisions for them, because the average person is working, and then after work maybe they have kids and they have other things that they have to get done. They're tired from a full day of work. Like, they don't have time to make such important decisions that can cost them thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions, depending on their, and so I don't know. To me, it's just, with such a large purchase or sale, why even take the chance?
partially, I think that lately this has been coming up because of kind of what we're doing right now. Things are so disassociated in a way. We're not as maybe we're getting less people centric and relationship um, concerned as a people in a way, because we're kind of almost moving into this it's all digital age. And I've had many people tell me they could imagine buying a home just, you know with AI's help or something, and that's a really hard one for me to imagine, because I just think that it's always going to be a people business. I think that um, you you want there's such a wide array of what buying a house means. Like we've stated, neighborhood, area, schools, all these things. Could an AI kind of get that to a certain degree? Yeah, but what well, I still think that when I'm looking at somebody and they have that glimmer in their eye of like, this is the spot, this is the place to live over here, and look at these amazing things, and like, I don't know how you take that away. Yeah, does it just I don't see that ever going away. The
Yeah, I mean,
beauty
there's
of
always,
being a person.
yeah, and it could be personality dependent too. I mean, some people are heavily introverted and may not want to talk to people, and they may want to
That's
just buy
kind
and
of
sell
what
the
I
house
was. Yeah,
using an app.
yeah,
But then there's people, I don't know about you, but anytime I call customer service, if I have to speak to a robot and press a bunch of numbers to speak to another robot, like I check out. But the second
yeah,
I actually speak to a human, a real agent, I'm like,
yeah,
thankfully, yes. And even if that, whatever it is, costs more, I'll pay that just to have the human to human interaction, because that's just my comfort zone. That feels
yeah,
better for me. But maybe for someone else, they prefer the other way. So it just, I think it's all personal dependent. But I've definitely dealt with houses on the market that you call the number. Oh, I'm really interested in this house. Call the number, and you just get a robot on the other line, and that's it. And it's just press one if you want to make an offer, press two if you want to see the house. Uh,
yeah,
email us, and maybe we'll get back to you in a few days. Like, what do you do if, like, hey, I want to put an offer on this house today? What do we do? So I don't know.
yeah,
I think nothing beats human interaction, regardless of how advanced technology gets. And maybe that's just us. And in 20, 30 years time, the younger generations will say, oh
sure,
no, like they're on to
yeah,
something. They might be embracing the AI and all that kind of stuff. But for
sure.
now,
There's
time being,
Yeah.
that's just how I see it working.
Yeah, I agree. There could be a future that I can't envision, and I'm sure that that's maybe even part of it, or that it becomes a little more boutique or whatever. But to just deal with a person. But one thing I don't see changing, and this is what always guides me, is the luxury market. That they're not going anywhere near these directions. So um, those people they're using technology to their advantage, of course, but it's still about people that they're working with, the best agents that they can find in those luxury markets. um, so I mean, we're that's what we are doing right now. I mean, so uh, there was another thing that you said that I was going to key in on, and I think I kind of blanked out on that, what that was. But anyway, it's you got, for me, let's have fun. Let's have fun selling your home, making some money. Let's have fun buying your home, buying your future.
Yeah.
The thing that will change your life more than anything I've ever seen and change anybody's life is where and how you live. So, do you want to have fun doing that with the right person? It is that is what I was going to say. You had mentioned about a personality thing. It is a personality thing. Find the right agent for you. I may not be it. You may not be it for somebody out there, right? But find the right person that fits your personality and helps you nail what you're trying to do. That's my best advice.
Very well said, Rob. I say let's wrap it up right there. That was very, very wise. I like that a lot. Where we have your Instagram below, Rob Howe Realtor. Tell people about your YouTube and just quick plugs.
Yeah, you can go to Rob Howe Rockstar Realtor on YouTube. You can find me anywhere. Rob Howe, HAU. Now you know how, because I'm all about houses. And you?
Do you want to talk about your band? Rob's in a rock band. He's like a legit rock star realtor. Or not, we
And
can cut that
that's
out.
not
Don't worry.
really, you're one of the rare people that knows actually why I call it, why it started, going with the Rockstar Realtor. It's not because I play music. It's because I actually helped a whole bunch of actual rock stars buy their houses. And I just figured, well, rock stars we can be ambiguous at that a little bit. It doesn't have to be somebody who was actually a rock star. They could just be a rock star. So my clients are my rock stars,
Wow, that's cool,
and I
man.
want to treat them that way.
So real quick then, lead singer Metallica, where does he live?
Oh, I don't know. Good. Does he live in town? No,
No,
I don't
I
think he
just
does.
pulled the name. I don't know. But that's awesome. I mean, Vegas is the kind of town though where people like that could live here and it's just
Yeah,
normal. Totally normal.
yeah, yeah. We've had more and more of it, there's been, because the music business isn't as lucrative as it used to be. So staying in California for some of these people was like just blowing money. So they were
Yeah.
like, let's get over to Vegas where I can actually be insulated, have a beautiful home, and feel like my money's going to last me the rest of my life and not get sucked out, by California.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love to see Vegas grow. I love the fact that it's just nonstop growth out here. I think my only worry is like I hope it doesn't get so crazy crowded that like traffic gets so bad and everything gets crazy expensive. But I don't think that is in the future here in Vegas. I think this is a very unique place for people to live, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. And whereas like I grew up in Texas, in a city like Austin, everyone just flocked to Austin, and now it's very expensive and overcrowded. I don't think that a town like Vegas, I don't see that happening simply because it's just like not everyone wants to live in the entertainment capital. Like there's a lot going on here, and it might be too much for some people.
Yeah, yeah, it's not for everybody. I do see, and this is, maybe I'm going to give my mother credit for saying this for a long time at least. We're a valley. We're going to fill up. And so when you fill up, it's like what happened in San Francisco, then you start having to build up. And of course, the more you're building up, the more that real estate prices are going up because there's no land
Yeah.
available. That might be some time off, but like you said, we're constantly growing, and it wouldn't be surprised within our lifetime to see that the whole valley's filled up. And yeah, who knows what's ahead for Vegas. I know people worry about the water. If I won't get into that here because we're just about to get off, but I'm
That's a
not
whole,
worried about it. I can tell you why. I can actually
that's
give
all.
you very clear reasons why.
Yeah.
So
Well,
somebody
have
wants
you
to
back.
talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll have a water episode.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
down.
Rob. Thanks again, man, and thanks for being one of the Vegas faces.
Yeah, thanks, David. Appreciate it very much. Have a great one, man.
Thank you for subscribing to Vegas Faces on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok under the name Gavri Group. That's Gavri Group. Thanks, everybody. See you at the next episode.